Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me for another video. Today I wanted to sit down and have a little bit more of an informal kind of chat about what I'm reading, listening to, learning about and watching at the moment. I did start a book club kind of a few weeks, months ago and just let it slide, so I thought let's get back into it and try and revive it and talk to you about those things at the moment. So without any further ado, grab a cup of tea and let's get straight into the video. Okay, so let's start with what I'm reading at the moment. I am reading a book called Junk Ship, I think. Let me just double check. Okay, so, sorry. I am currently reading, well, I had a spare credit on Audible, so I decided to use that, but then I'm going to go back to reading afterwards. So it's called Junk Raft, An Ocean Voyage and a Rising Tide of Activism to Fight Plastic Pollution by Marcus Ericsson. At the moment, I'm doing a plastics campaign on the low impact movement to try and teach everyone and also learn myself as much as I possibly can about plastic pollution and the types of plastics that we have in the world, what's recyclable, what's not recyclable kind of at the moment, the threat it poses, the different types like microfibers and microplastics. And this is one of the most informative books that I have been reading. There are obviously lots of other books and kind of science journals and stuff that I've been reading, but this one I particularly liked because it was it's a really informed and frontline kind of approach, like activism to understanding plastic pollution in the oceans, and it's really interesting hearing a first-hand perspective about it and kind of hearing about what they find. And they talk a lot about like the North Pacific garbage patch, which is the biggest one. If you don't know what a gyre is, basically the garbage patches around the world, I think there are 5 of them, are called gyres, and it's basically when like ocean currents and winds from the tropics like become in sync, I think, or like airflow that allows certain debris to kind of like float on the surface, and then it creates lots and lots and lots of trash, and then basically creates a whole island of it because of the way that the winds and the currents are working. Remember, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not quite sure if that's correct, but it's really interesting hearing about how they have collected and what they find and how they discovered it. And they said when you discover it, it's not kind of seeing like this massive aisle of waste, even though you do also see that, you just start to begin to see loads of waste building in the water, and it just suddenly gets more and more and more and more, and it's really quite terrifying, and it's really a lot more spread out than you think. But yeah, I would really recommend it. It's really interesting, and yeah, I'm just going to go through these quickly because I don't want to sit down and bore you guys for ages. So that is what I'm currently reading, and what I'm currently listening to is a podcast I actually discovered yesterday, but I've already listened to quite a few of the episodes. Trash Talking with Eco Warriors. So it's all about kind of women in the sustainability field and like the cool stuff that they're doing, which is awesome. And it's hosted by Barbara Lee. She's a really great host, I personally think. And I've listened to one with Emily Wood, who is a sustainability analyst at Impossible Foods, and it's so interesting hearing about someone's perspective, especially because she's my age and she's now working there, and the stuff that she's doing is so cool. And it's also really interesting hearing her talk about sustainability from a corporation perspective or a company, and how sustainability values are kind of ingrained and written into the core company values as well, which is amazing and what we should all hopefully could be striving for in terms of companies. But what Emily Wood said that I found particularly interesting is she said, I'm trying to live a sustainable life without living a small life. Because I mean, especially if you saw my What I Wasted This Week video last week, you'll notice how a lot of the stuff that I do does make my life a little bit smaller. And I think it's really important that we have that balance, because otherwise you can be living this tiny life and being really sustainable, but then also not really living to your fullest potential, especially when, yes, as consumers we have a massive responsibility, but it's nothing compared to the responsibility of corporations. And imagine if all the corporations and governments basically made it so that we could live sustainably really easily. We'd all be inherently sustainable customers or consumers. So it was just a really interesting thing that she was talking about, and I definitely think you guys should go and listen to that episode. But I also listened to the episode where she was talking to Natalie Unwin Coronary, who she works at the Earth Institute with Columbia University. And it was really interesting hearing from an educational standpoint how to kind of get into the sustainability world or the green world or any of that kind of stuff. And I thought they're just really intelligent women in a really cool space doing really cool things. And yeah, I'm really excited to listen to the next episode today. And yeah, I think it's great to listen to women who are really, really, really in the movement, who really understand it from so many different aspects, have such incredibly diverse education. And also, if you don't have any educational background in terms of sciences or environmental sciences or social sciences, like I don't, they kind of talk about how you could get into the sustainability field if you wanted to. And it made me really consider going back to university and trying to get a master's in something sustainability related, so that I could eventually go into some kind of sustainable job. But that's what I'm listening to right now. I love it. I think that you should definitely check it out as well. Yeah, let's move on to what I am learning. So I am trying to learn everything there is to know about plastic and also climate change. So I am starting my sciencey journey now, because as I've been learning more about plastics, I've been really enjoying the sort of more sciencey books that I've been reading and the more science journals I've been reading and studies and research. And I found it's just so fascinating, and I want to be as educated as I possibly can if I'm going to be talking about something that really does require it. Because I've got to a point now where, you know, through my activism, I've been talking a lot about, you know, what you can do in your personal life and all of that kind of stuff. But now I feel like to really inform my activism and to make me a much better resource, I really need to dive into the more sort of, you know, sciencey academic aspects of understanding climate change a bit better, understanding the plastic pandemic a bit better, understanding the philosophy of ethics and ethical living, and also kind of understanding more about policy and being more politically motivated and understanding how to create real change that way. But yeah, so I've been learning a lot about plastics, a lot about climate change, and luckily my friend Hannah, who is also on Instagram, she's called The Climate Diaries, she did Earth Sciences at Michigan, which is where I met her, and now she's doing applied climatology masters in the UK. So she's such a great resource for me to learn from. And you should definitely check out her Instagram, because she obviously is coming at it from a sciencey perspective and from a very educated perspective, and it just kind of made me really want to do that as well. Yeah, so what I'm watching, let's move on to at the moment, is something absolutely not sustainability related at all, but it's very much kind of arty, creative perspective, I guess. But if you haven't heard of the channel Wild We Roam, I love them so much. They're an American couple called Dana and Lou. They've been living in Berlin for the past few years, and they've just moved to Spain and built out their van for several months, and now they are traveling around Europe in their van. I think Lou has a European passport, but Dana had to do some kind of anyway, this is besides the point. They are traveling around Portugal in their van at the moment, and Dana is doing something called Inktober. And it's basically a daily practice throughout the whole of October where you draw a new picture just using ink or biro. You're not allowed to use any pencil, you can't rub out. They're doing a video every other day, so every odd number. And every single video is like a little short film. And it's just so nice to see how happy it makes Dana to be drawing again and to be doing it as like a daily practice. And it's something just for her. And Lou is doing all the kind of social media and doing all the filming and editing and stuff. And it's so nice to see someone give their partner like that space to be able to just go and do something that really means a lot to them, that's really creative and really important. Oh, it's just so good. I think you should go and watch it. I love them. I love what they're about. I love that they live in a van, but they're not like typical, I don't know, their channel is so diverse and it's all interlinked by like beautiful cinematography. And they're vegan as well, and they're just really cool. I'm really enjoying watching their creativity through like Lou's filming and editing and Dana's drawing and ink work. It's just so good. Anyway, I tried to make this short. I don't know quite how I managed to make it this long, but I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to try and do this maybe every other Friday or every 3 weeks to try and be more consistent. I don't want to say I'm going to do it every week because we all know I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will keep doing this. If you want to see the last 10 books that I've been reading, I have just written an article on the Low Impact Movement website, so I'll put the link in the description, so you should go and check that out if you want to see that. And I'm also on Goodreads now, so that you can keep up with the books that I'm reading. Again, I'll put that in the link to so, but it's just Goodreads at Amy Lucas, I think. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed your cup of tea. I am currently drinking some green tea, which I love, but I was getting into fruity teas, but gone back to the basics and gone back to green tea. So thanks for watching. I will see you guys very soon. Bye bye. Oh, also actually tell me any kind of things that you're reading at the moment, or you suggest that I read, or if any of you are like climatologists or environmental scientists or studying that or did study that, if you have any good like recommendations for textbooks, let me know, because I would like to dive into it. Anyway, enough from me. Bye.